this time of year because you get to see commercials about people who husbands and wives who just buy each other new cars and don't discuss it. What kind of psychos are these people? I mean, if I came home and there was a brand new, and these aren't cheap cars either. I mean, if you look like the one commercial where the dude buys his wife a dog, and it's like, oh, look at dog. Now, okay, that's a reasonable thing. It's a lot, but that's a reasonable thing. Then, over the hill comes a $90,000 truck. And he's like, I love it. I'd be like, what? You better have a second job to pay for that. But no, so this time of year is when we're thinking about Christmas and all that's going on. And so, like I said before, we wait. We're waiting because we know it's coming, and, kids are waiting, and we're looking, when I was a kid, you couldn't wait for your turn with the Sears catalog. Remember that? Anybody else Sears catalog lookers? Yeah, there you go. And the crazy thing was that at my house, when I was a kid, we had the Sears catalog, and it was always on the coffee table, and you'd look through it and stuff. But at my pawpaw's house, the Sears catalog was somewhere else. It was in a little house out back, and but you still looked at it the same. Anyway, but it's all about waiting. I mean, you look through the catalog, and you just know it's coming, and it's all about waiting. And last week, we talked about the weight of waiting, about, in order to wait, you got to be ready. Because if you're not ready, you're just standing around. You're just wasting time. And so we talked about getting ready. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of illustrate was something that happened right after church. And I love it when we talk about the sermon or other things, right after, and somebody was thinking about what we were talking about. And the good news about being ready is that you can spend your whole life getting ready. I mean, your whole life getting ready, and God knows when you're ready and the wait's over. But you see, your level of readiness is determined by the kind of person you want to be. And the kind of person that came up to me after church and was talking, because I made a comment about, you got a big meal, to prepare, you got this coming up, and you're waiting, and how much anxiety you would have if you weren't prepared for all these people coming over. And I had one of the ladies come to me and said, you know what? I had a bunch of people show up at my house. I didn't even know they were coming. Family showed up for breakfast last week, and I didn't even know they were coming. But you know what? We had plenty because I was prepared for the unexpected. And see, that's the kind of life that we want to live, is to be prepared for anything that comes our way. To be ready, to spend that downtime getting ready for stuff just in case. I mean, isn't that how our faith works? Is that when, like right now, you guys know our family's going through, I'd call it a crisis, but it's really not. We're going through a lot right now. We're displaced out of our house. We had a fire, blah, blah, blah. It was 3 weeks of living in hotels and back and forth, and now we got all this work to do about, contents, and it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of upheaval, a lot of turmoil, and all that going on. But we're prepared for this. We're prepared for it. My marriage is going to survive this because we're prepared for it. I mean, someone who is outside of Christ, whose life is not built on the rock, this kind of thing could wreck you. I mean, and people like that. People where a tragedy, a crisis, an inconvenience, it just blows them out of the water. But we're prepared. We didn't know it was coming. I didn't know that a fire was coming over for dinner. But we're prepared for it. We got this. Would I rather not go through it? Duh. But we're okay. We're ready for it. And more things get thrown on every day. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep, because we're prepared. The cupboard is full. The cupboard is full. And that was, just so you know, and just so I can get in enough trouble, because I'm going to, because that was Jeanette Nissing who shared that with me. She's like, why'd you say my name? She's little. I can run fast. I can run faster than her. But what a great example. Get prepared in the downtime. In the downtime, fill the cupboard of faith with stuff just in case those things come over for dinner and you're not prepared, because you are prepared. I've told you the story so many times or maybe a couple times of, on my granddaddy's farm back in Alabama, there was my brother and I were tasked with cutting or baling some hay on a field in the back of his property. And there was one corner of it that was notoriously wet, and it held water there. And Paul told us, do not get over, down in that wash area, because you will get stuck. Well, guess what we did? I thought to myself, because I'm a big, strong, man. I'm all of 13. I know how to drive that tractor. I know how to get in and out of that. So what did we do? First pass, got into that little swell area down there. Guess what happened? Got stuck. And the more we tried to get out, the stucker we got. Until we had a tractor up to the axles in mud. So I had another and it was pulling a hay baler. So I had another idea. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to unhook the baler. I'm going to go get the other tractor, and we're going to pull that backwards, and then we're going to pull the other tractor out, and we got the second tractor stuck. So now I got two tractors. I got a John Deere and a Massey Ferguson, both of them up to the axles. Okay, well, there's an old farm truck that's got four-wheel drive. I know. I tell you what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to get that truck. We're going to run up to the house. We're going to get that truck. We're going to come, and we're going to get this, and we're going to pull it out. We're going to save the day. Da, da, da. And long story short, now I got a John Deere, a Massey Ferguson, and a Chevy up to the axles. And about that time, we realized there's no hay baled. Nothing's done. Not at all. It's getting... we're realizing the sun's going down. I mean, this was all day. You got me, I think I'm like 13 years old. My brother's like 14, 15. This is what we've done all day. And Paul's truck comes around down the road. He just looks at us. You boys get in the truck. Yes, sir. So we get in the truck. We sit there. We say nothing. Get back to the house, get cleaned up, have supper, go to bed, get up the next morning. We said nothing. Next morning, guess what's sitting in the gravel area right out front of the barn? John Deere, Massey Ferguson truck, and the baler. Paul and my uncles had done that that night. They went and got it because we still had to get the hay all in, right? So that's what they did. They spent the night getting that stuff out, ready to go for the next day. Paul's driving us back out to the field. And we were wondering, when is this, because like I grew up, this will be foreign to y'all, but I grew up we got whippings when I was a kid. And mom could whip you, dad could whip you, mama, Paul, everybody. My friends' parents would give me spankings, okay? That's just how it was. I just knew we were getting it. It was coming. And I asked Paul, I said, when are we going to get punished? And he said, you're not getting punished, you're going to get to work. And I asked him, why aren't you mad? He says, well, I was disappointed, but when I came around the corner, what I asked you to do wasn't done, but I found you working. I found you working. We had screwed it up royally. But I learned more about grace that day than I have through every sermon I've ever heard or college class I ever took, because what Paul told me was that although you messed it up royally, although you didn't get accomplished what you wanted to get accomplished, what I asked you to get accomplished, when I found you, you were working. You see, that's kind of going back, think about, and if you weren't here last week, go back on YouTube and watch the sermon about waiting, the weight of waiting, because it's all about being ready. But it's not about being perfect. It's about doing what we can in the moment, even if we've screwed it up royally. Even if we've screwed it up royally. God says, I found you working. I found you working. So this morning, we are going to talk about, this week, We're talking about, and all of this, and if you're visiting with us, if you're new, this image has been up all year. This has been, all year since Easter of this year, because everything that we sing about, everything that I talk about, everything that we pray for and pray about is made purposeful by this reality right here. The resurrection of Jesus, the living Lord we serve, gives everything that we do purpose and meaning. Everything. So this has been the backdrop of every sermon we've listened to this year, and it's been on the forefront of our minds because none of what we do matters without this. And so today we're going to be talking about, the wonder. Last week was the weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, of waiting. This week it's the wonder of waiting. So the question that I want on everybody's mind for the next 15 minutes, I tell you what, I'm going to try to be done because we got a potluck and all this is going on, so I'm going to try to be done in 11 minutes. So for the next 11 minutes, buckle up. When was the last time you found yourself in awe? Just take a second and think about that. When was the last time that you found that you were just in awe? What was it? Was it looking at looking at the Grand Canyon? Was it the way someone treated you? When have you been just overwhelmed by the wonder of it all? I think that's a valid thing to think about. I mean, I've been thinking about it all week, and let me tell you something. It's hard to come up with a time when we're just in awe. I mean, a lot of that has to do with the society we live in and technology and our culture and all that. And, but wonder, you can read Scripture and it is replete with examples of people who are just in awe. Not of technology, not of our accomplishments, but in awe of God. And I believe that this time of year is a prime opportunity for us to recapture the awe and the wonder of the God we serve. Because this time of year should remind us, and the wonder of waiting, of anticipating this event, this morning when all of our dreams come true, when all the sugar plum dancing and all of the Christmas cookies and the leaving this out for Santa, when all of that happens, this time of year when that's in the back of our minds about everything should remind us of what life could be like. You see, and I spent a lot of time praying and thinking about that word, could. Because for a lot of this week, that word was should. But I don't think we like that word. I don't think we like what it should be. And I think we're more accepting of what life could be. Because I'm convinced it can be whatever you want it to be. Your life will be what you want it to be. It will. So what this time of year, this waiting, can remind us of what life could be like. Let me ask you this. When you drive around the neighborhoods and you look at the houses, all decorated with lights and inflatables and wreaths and all that stuff, you can tell something's going on. When you go into the stores and you just take it all in, all the decorations, all the people. I mean, when you go, when you go to a mall, when's the last time anybody's been to a mall? Like you go to the Chesterfield Mall, it's a ghost town. It's depressing. Except for now. Now there's people in there. Go to, what's that one up here, Mid Rivers Mall? Mid-Rivers Mall in May is depressing. I mean, it's like a garage sale. I mean, it's terrible. But now, I mean, it's all dressed up. There's people in there. There's actual stores. It's great. It's festive. It's exciting. You go out, you feel like you've been a part of something. I mean, there's something going on. I mean, there's excitement in the air. I mean, look at the mailbox. What do you see? What do you see right now that you never see? You see cards and letters, and I mean, this time of year, I mean, the mailbox is, you get out there and you look, oh, look, well, who did we get a card from? And you start going through it. Because usually I'm like, oh, the mail came. Bills. I mean, but this time of year, it's awesome. I mean, you get the pictures of people, and you get to read about what's been going on in their year, and just take it all in. That you can tell something's going on. I mean, something's up. There is an overall theme going on here that's driving this excitement. What would our life look like if we were consumed? The question I have for you this morning is, does God overwhelm your life? I mean, this time of year he does. I mean, because Jesus is the reason for the season and all of those things. But does God overwhelm? I mean, are we in awe? Are we consumed by the reality of the true and living God, by the eternal, life-giving God of the universe? Does God overwhelm my life? When people drive up to your house right now, can they tell it's Christmas? I mean, for most of us, probably. I mean, there's going to be a tree, a lit-up Christmas tree in some window that you can see from the driveway, maybe. Maybe you have lights on the house. Y'all got wreaths? Everybody got a wreath? Oh, yeah. Got wreaths. Everybody, I mean, you drive up to the house, you can tell. You can tell it's Christmas time. Let me ask you this. Come March 14th, arbitrary day, don't know. It's important to you, great. It's your birthday, happy birthday. Just picked it out of my head. March 14th of this year, when people drive up to your house, will they know? Will they know that you are overwhelmed by God? That you are consumed? That house is celebrating God today. I mean, and it's not something as flashy as lights or wreaths or lit up trees or any of those sort of things. It's not really the decoration, but maybe. But whatever it is, when people come to your house, do they automatically know that that's a house that the Lord Almighty dwells in? Are we overwhelmed? Can people tell that you celebrate God? When they look at your bank account, can they tell that you're celebrating Christmas? I mean, probably, right? And I'm going to look at the ladies because, in my house, my wife's the one who buys all the Christmas presents. Now, I buy Christmas presents for one person and one person only, and that's my wife. And you can look at my bank account right now, and you couldn't tell a thing because I spend all year squirreling away cash. Just squirreling it away. Because you know what she does? She looks at my bank account every day. And you know why? Because she's like, well, what'd you get at McDonald's today? Because she knows I don't need to go there. So she monitors that kind of stuff. And I know I'm going to get in trouble if there's too many, pie receipts in there. And so I know she's looking at it, and I don't want her to know where I'm getting. So I'm squirreling away cash all year. And so I've got my big, Christmas roll, and I go out, I spend. But this time, if you look at your bank account, can people tell you are celebrating Christmas? Let me ask you this. Come August the 3rd, if I looked at your bank account for the year, could I tell that you were celebrating God? Because he's so overwhelming. Because I'm so in awe. I'm so consumed by the reality that I am known and I get to know and I can interact with and have a relationship with the God of the universe, and He has plans and goals and will and all of these things for my life, and I want to be a part of that. And it's going to take my house and my bank account and my activity and all my attention all year long, because it's so amazing to be a part of this. Are we in awe? I mean, do we have a wonder? I mean, when we think about the God we serve, does our jaw just drop? Are we consumed with Him? What life could be like if we are consumed, and what life could be like. You see, this time of year reminds us what life could be like if we're focused. I mean, there's not a lot of room for much else besides Christmas right now, is there? I mean, not a lot of plans. I mean, how many family vacations you taken in addition to doing Christmas? Now, if you take a family vacation this time of year, guess what it's going to be for? This is for Christmas. I mean, nobody's going on a ski trip in addition to just going nutso on Christmas. Now, if you're going to go on a ski trip this time of year, it's going to be your Christmas present. I mean, there's no room for anything else. Everything gets lumped in. Everything's focused on Christmas right now. Can we do this? No, we've got to get, can I have this? Wait for Christmas. Can we do, everything's is lasered in on this day, on this one event, on this one occurrence. This time of year, what could life be like if we have that kind of focus all the time? Because there's not a household in this building right now that the morning of the 25th isn't gonna be magical. I mean, we've got church, we've got worship service on the 25th because Christmas is on a Sunday, right? Now, just so y'all know, there's going to be behind-the-scenes talk in elders meetings on Monday. It may have already happened. I'm missing a lot of them because I'm working. But, what are we going to do about Christmas on the 25th? Are we having class? We're probably not having class because there's just so much magic going on the 25th. I mean, we're going to have to figure out what are we doing because it's going to be awesome. I mean, every household in this building pulls off this amazing event on the 25th. And the only way we can do that is to be laser focused on it. Our budget has to reflect it all year long. Our time, where are you going to spend it? Don't catch your house on fire because you can't spend Christmas there now. I mean, just those are things you just didn't think about before, was it? I didn't. But, what if you're that focused? Oh, I'm going to miss my time. Sorry. Because what we're focused on determines why we do what we do. Look at Luke 10, 38 through 42. I'm going to leave you with this. Luke 10, 38 through 42, many of us are familiar with the story. It's Mary, Martha, Jesus is there. You got Mary and Martha are in the presence of Jesus. Mary is at Jesus' feet listening to his teaching, and Martha's out making dinner, preparing things, and she gets irritated because Mary's not helping, and Jesus says, hey, Martha, relax. Mary chose something that's better, and it will never be taken away from her. And so what we typically take away from that passage is that when it's better to go to Bible class than it is to prepare for the potluck. Isn't that what we take away from that? But no, it's not. Let me say this. Think about it like this week. I don't want to say it's this or that. Think about it in a different way. What if Martha was laser focused on Jesus while she was preparing the food, the meal, the house, the whatever? Because the Bible's also replete with examples of when you're doing the mundane stuff of life that has to happen, do it like you're serving God. Because if you do it like you're serving God, guess who you're serving? God. And then it also says, and these are, you can write these down if you like, Philippians 2:14 says, do everything without griping and complaining. Now, I don't know if, the original Greek says griping, but you know what I mean. Do everything without complaining, as though you're serving God. And then in Colossians 3:23, it says, do it again. It says, everything you do. And in Colossians, when it says, wives, submit to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Don't embitter your kids. Slaves, be obedient and all this sort of thing. I mean, he's talking about real life stuff. And it says, do it all like you're serving God. Because if you are, guess what you're serving? God. You see, we can do the cooking and the cleaning and the mowing and the painting and the roofing and all those things. We can do all of that laser focused on Jesus. Because guess who gives us the ability, the intellect, the breath, all of those things? God does. I mean, here's the wonder of it all. How we accomplish anything is a wonder. I mean, here's how much time do I got left? Okay. Here's something I want you to think about. Did any of us choose to be here? I mean, I'm not talking about here, not in this building, but just did you choose to be born? Do you realize life was just sort of thrust upon you? You're just sort of, you're just sort of forced into this. So everything you're able to do is just sort of given to you. And what you do with that is not to your glory, but to whose? I mean, think about, like we all, you have a job. Well, good for you. Who gives you the intellect to be able to do that job? God. Who gives you you can, go all the way up to, right now this time of year, not only is it Christmas, but it's football playoffs. And so all these amazing athletes that just run up and down the field and throw and all that, they have arms and legs and all that. They didn't choose to be that. They just honed a skill that was given to them. And you get to accomplish these great things. If it weren't for God, who made your legs? I mean, think about Job when he say it, his question, who gave you your breath? I mean, let's do an exercise together, all of us, all together. Breathe in, breathe out. Do you know how many biological things had to happen for that to take place? For that to do any good for you, to give you life-sustaining oxygen? I mean, when we breathe in, do you know how many things are in that air? Norm could list them for you in alphabetical order. All of the elements, and tell you their atomic weights, I'm sure. Convinced of it. And you know what our lungs do? Filters out all the stuff we don't need absorbed in our bodies and just gives us the O2. And not one of us knows how that works. Not one of us can make that happen. I would give you a year to go home and build a set of lungs that could do that, and you couldn't do it. What if we were so focused on God? I mean, even in the breath. I mean, the mundane things of life we could do. I mean, somebody cuts you off and you don't say a word to the glory of God. That's how focused we are. I mean, honestly. I mean, you're in the bathroom this morning brushing your teeth to the glory of God because, man, I don't know how you grew these things, but without them I couldn't eat. I couldn't, just brushing my teeth to the glory of God. I mean, if we were that, what would it look like if we were that focused? What a life that could be. Now, I haven't experienced it, but I've read stories about people who have. And I want to live a life like they did. Because you couldn't get them down. I mean, you could put them in prison. You know what they would do? They'd sing. They'd sing till the bars fell off. I mean, you could threaten them with death, and they would still tell you about Jesus, even while you're throwing rocks at them until they died. Stephen brought Jesus to his feet. He was so focused. What could life be like? I mean, come Christmas time, come the 25th, man, it's going to be magical. The wonder of waiting is that God gives us the gift of Christmas every day. We get to wake up every morning and bask in the presence of his grace. And I mean the presence like you're present, and I mean the presence like rip the paper off and enjoy the present, the gift of his grace. Can we live life consumed by God, focused on Christ, made possible by his resurrection, as together we stand and as we sing?